from Sheehan Natural Health Improvement Center, and today we are going to talk about stress. Now, this is kind of a difficult subject to talk about because people think that stress is all in your mind. That's actually more of where you experience stress, but you also experience stress in your body. Before we get into all this, it's important to talk about what exactly is stress. Like, what does your body experience when you experience stress? Well, there's a number of different things, but we can boil it down to an increase in stress hormones, such as cortisol and adrenaline hormones, and also your brainwave patterns are going to change. They are going to go from, like a normal thinking brainwave pattern, are what's called low beta waves. Okay, when we're stressed, we go into high beta waves. Okay, so the release of stress hormones and the change in brainwave patterns is actually what we experience when we experience stress. Okay, that's important to know, because if you're stressed out, if you can find ways to kind of calm those two things down, your subjective experience is going to be different about stress, and you're going to think about it differently, you're going to experience it differently, and then you're going to actually make different choices. Okay, so it's important to look at that. Okay, so that is what exactly stress is. So when we deal with stress, okay, we look at three different things. We look at the biochemical basis, the structural basis, and the emotional basis. Okay, remember, all this is so that we can calm down the stress hormones and calm down the brain. Okay, first of all, okay, the things that are going to raise stress hormones biochemically, this is biochemically and nutritionally, okay, is if we have a lack of B vitamins, vitamin C, certain minerals, especially C, and magnesium especially, but potassium, okay, stress hormones by themselves from feeling stress. Also, if we have impaired digestion, that will be a stress to our system. And also if we have a chronic immune system problem, which is actually very, very common. All these things can actually throw off our biochemistry, okay, which is going to make us feel more stress. Okay, there's also structural issues that can accompany stress. Like, let's say we have a bone that's out of place. I'm a chiropractor. So if we have a bone that's out of place, okay, that will press on nerves. That will create stress in our system. Okay, how do we deal with structural issues? We deal with it with chiropractic, massage, and rehabilitation techniques. Okay, the important thing is that when you handle the biochemical issues, these vitamin and mineral deficiencies, the digestive issues, excuse me, the immune issues, and we help to support the organs that deal with stress, okay, and we deal with the structural issues, then the emotional issues can be dealt with better, okay? It's also important to understand that your body, like your mind, kind of sees internal and external stressors together. So it's like, let's say, we can't control everything that happens to us. We can kind of get out of the way when, a train's coming towards us, but you can't control everything that happens to us. And you actually can't control your own mind, which is very important to understand. If I tell you not to think of a pink elephant, you're going to think of a pink elephant. And no matter how hard I tell you not to think of one and how hard you try not to think of a pink elephant, you cannot stop thinking of pink elephant. You can't totally control, okay, what you think, okay? So I call them internal and external stressors. Internal stressors are things like what you think, okay, your viewpoint on things and stuff like that. From a certain point of view, you can modulate this by trying to take other people's opinions into account and kind of seeing things through their eyes, okay? But actually, the internal experience of stress is going to change when you deal with the biochemical issues and structural issues. For example, if you have a magnesium deficiency, okay, which is giving you pain and is throwing your neck out, you're going to feel a lot of stress, and you're probably going to be more negative and think more negative thoughts. You see how this works? It goes in kind of like this, okay? Now, external stressors are things from the external environment that cause stress on us, okay? They're very commonly known, such as our jobs, our families, what else? If you get on any kind of social media, you have all these people that are saying things that you disagree with, stuff like that. Those are external stressors. Now, there's two ways to deal with external stressors. First of all, you can try to get away from those things, okay? Like shutting off your computer. Not right now, I'm almost done. But you can shut off your computer, turn off your TV, or better yet, get rid of it. Those types of things, you can't really, unless you can switch jobs. I mean, it's hard to modulate workplace stress. Your family is your family, you know. We love them, but sometimes we don't like them, that kind of stuff. So you can't control everything there either, okay? But once again, let's say that someone has poor digestion, they always have reflux, okay? And let's say that they have, because of the reflux, actually a lot of times that'll give you left shoulder pain and upper back pain, okay? You're going to be thinking negative thoughts, and you're going to see the external environment in a more negative way, okay? So I actually, we have a number of patients that come in that are in a lot of pain. And when they first come in, they're not very pleasant to deal with, and I wouldn't be pleasant to deal with. In fact, when I'm in pain, I'm not pleasant to deal with. But after we start getting them adjusted and put them on a good nutrition program, all of a sudden they see the world differently, okay? The other ways, once you deal with the biochemical and structural issues that have to deal with stress, or the subjective experience of stress, okay? There's other stress reduction techniques. We have one on our YouTube channel called, I think it's called The Ultimate Relaxation Hour, done by my lovely wife, Laura. It's awesome. If you just turn that on and you follow the instructions that she says, it's basically a progressive relaxation video. Watch it, follow it, it's awesome. There's different forms of meditation. Stress reduction and meditation, these two things are directly aimed at bringing us from, remember I said that high beta wave state, down to a low beta, down to an alpha, and possibly even a theta state, which is more and more relaxed, more and more of a subjective experience of relaxation that you can measure in your brain. Okay? So, we have a nice little graph here. The subjective experience of stress has to do with stress hormones, okay, brainwave patterns, change in neurochemistry, biochemical changes, and this kind of goes in a circular pattern, okay? Now, so let me give you a case study with this. I'll use my own wife, Laura, okay? She's behind the camera. Hi, Laura. Anyway. Hi. So, Laura, okay, a couple weeks ago, she, besides working in our office seeing patients, she sees people for nutrition and massage. She also does the bookkeeping. She does some of the management. And recently she said, I really want to get my master's in nutrition. I want to get a master's in nutrition. And I said, it's going to be a lot more work. And she said, oh, the other thing too is she puts up with me full time, so a lot of work, right? So anyway, but so she says, I want to get my master's. And I said, okay, well, you're going to get your master's, but it's going to be a lot of work. She said, I can handle it. Well, she starts doing her work on her master's. And she starts getting very, very irritable, anxious, depressed, overwhelmed, all these things. She's feeling all this stress. So we actually applied this formula to her. When I checked her using nutrition response testing, I found a number of immune system challenges, both bacterial and yeast, actually, that were affecting her brain. You have to understand that when your immune system is under stress from some kind of attack, okay, the bug in your system will put out these toxic byproducts that cause inflammation, and they will actually cause a subjective experience of stress in your brain. It'll change your brainwave patterns. Where are they here? No, it's down here. They'll change your brainwave patterns, and they'll increase stress hormones. So once we dealt with those two things, which was basically yeast and there was a type of bacteria that we found in there, okay, she immediately started feeling better, okay? Then, that was the biochemical side, okay? She always gets regular chiropractic and massage, and we didn't change that. But what happened was her emotional experience, or her subjective experience of stress, kind of calmed down, and she started seeing the light, or the external stressors different. She said, you know, this actually isn't too much work. I can handle this master's. I don't have too much work at work either. And Dr. Sheehan, you're not such a terrible person. So her external stressors, she saw differently. Her internal stressors, she stopped having that negative loop, or not as much at least. It kind of calmed down. And then she was able to say, okay, I want to go for a walk and concentrate on the environment. Okay, when we concentrate on our environment, when we go from thinking, cognition, when you think about different things and how they relate and stuff like that, that brings us from a beta wave state to a high beta wave state, which is stressful. To if you go to like a feeling state where we're going to go for a walk after this, and we'll go out in the environment and we'll look around and we'll see the birds flying in the trees and the water and stuff like that. When you go from a thinking to like a feeling state, that calms down your brain waves. Okay? So all these things she put into, and then also she started meditating more. But she put all these things into effect. And how much better do you feel? Like within days you felt tons better, right?
Like 80%, yeah.
Yeah. So that's the thing. When a lot of people think to deal with stress, you just have to stop your mind. That's not going to happen. If you can change the biochemical, what would you call it? The biochemical background that you live in, the biochemistry of the body that you live in, and you can fix the structural problems, okay, then it's much easier to deal with the emotional side of things. I see this all the time with people. I have one patient right now, and she was like totally stressed out, and her digestion stunk. She had terrible digestive problems. And so what we did was we actually, using nutrition response tests, and we found a variety of different problems in her digestive tract. We handled that, and then since she was still reporting a lot of stress, I told her, I said, now that your body is not as stressed, I want you to sit. I said, how often do you just sit down and do nothing? She said, never. And I said, I want you to sit down for a minute a day before you go to sleep and just sit. And so she came back in the next week and she said, well, I'm sitting down for 5 minutes now. I was like, really? And how's it going? And she said, oh, I just fall asleep. And I said, do you feel any less stressed? And she goes, I actually do feel less stressed. What happens is when your body actually goes from that high beta wave down into the low beta and then the alpha, a lot of times your body will immediately interpret like relaxation as like it'll immediately go to sleep. That's okay. So you go to sleep, you go to sleep. Okay? You're actually putting yourself into a relaxed pattern, and your body's going to interpret that as like, let's go to sleep. Eventually, if you keep on doing that every day, you'll actually learn to decrease your brain waves, the brainwave frequency, from that high beta down to the low beta, down to the alpha, down to the theta, and with continued practice, it'll actually change your brainwave patterns permanently, so you're not all stressed out. So, do you have anything to add to this, Laura? No? So listen, if you like this video, okay, I put a transcript down below. Okay, you can do what I said to do in the transcript, or what I said to do in the video. If you have any questions, just type them below, and I'd be happy to help you. Thanks.